All right, good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank Mayor Fitzgerald Roberts from Dixmoor, who's here and going to speak shortly. His counsel, James Vaselli, is here. Karen Joshi, who is our co-leader of our Cook County Department of Public Health. Rick Bryant, who is senior advisor to Congresswoman Robin Kelly. Bill Barnes, head of emergency management and regional security for us in the county. Bilkis Jacobs L., who's in charge of facilities. John Yonan, who's in charge of the Bureau of Asset Management. So we have a real challenge here in Dixmoor that's the result of a water main break in the afternoon on Saturday, and we have all been struggling ever since to meet the needs of residents. There is no water pressure in some homes in Dixmoor, none at all. Some have a trickle, and some have very, very, very low water pressure. So we have a kind of a spectrum here, but it's not good in any instance. And I think the mayor will talk more about that in a little bit. We've brought a plumbing and electrical team to help Dixmoor. And we want to thank John Schaefer from the South Suburban Public Works Association who's come to the city to try to be of assistance. We want to thank the Salvation Army and our own emergency management folks who've distributed 90,000 bottles of water to date. The Thornton Township Food Pantry and Supervisor Zuccarelli for their help, and of course Commissioner Sims, who could not be with us today, but sends her concerns. We'll be getting out through emergency management shortly information about where Dixmoor residents can go to get showers. I've talked to Senator Napoleon Harris, and they're trying to make some arrangements at Thornton Township High School, as well as our Forest Preserve campgrounds, which are in this facility, in this vicinity, including Camp Shabona, Camp Bullfrog, and Camp Sullivan. But I think the principal message here, aside from this immediate catastrophe, is that we need to make tremendous investments in infrastructure in our country. And it's not, we usually think of that in terms of roads and bridges, but it's our underground infrastructure as well, our water mains, our sewer mains. And this is an example of some of the challenges we face across the country. Now, the Senate passed a $1.5 trillion infrastructure bill. And in the House, there are ongoing negotiations about both infrastructure and Build Back Better. But the real challenge is that we need these federal resources as quickly as possible at the local level so that we can address the kinds of challenges that we face here in Dixmoor. I've also been on the phone with the staff of the Mayor Harvey, and we're going to try to help them as they look for the source of the difficulty in providing water to the Dixmoor community. Mayor, you want to say a few words?
I would like to thank all of you all for coming out. It really...
You're going to be okay.
It really warms my heart to see all of you all out here. I just really appreciate it, and we're doing all we can to help the residents. All of us out here has a challenging time. You gotta excuse me for the emotion. And I just, for the residents, I pray that you can continue to work with us on this issue. We're working hard as we can to get this issue resolved. Everyone who has came out to help. We even had residents from Indiana dropping off water. Tony Preckwinkle office has been great to us, as well as Deborah Sims. The mayor of Dalton came out, and a host of others. Napoleon Harris called, me and him talked for a while, and he's going to see what he can do to get us more funding out here. It's been very hard on me. I have been dealing with this since 5 o'clock Saturday morning. I have actually been in the trenches working with my Public Works Department. Clark have sent his Public Works over. I spoke with his superintendent, also met with Mayor Clark, as well as State Rep Will Davis. We sat and talked, and the township has reached out to us, so please bear with us. We will make it through this and continue to pray with us, and thank you for all your help. And the schools are now on e-learning, and we're doing all we can to get water back out to the residents. Thank you.
All right. Rick Bryant, again, is Senior Advisor to Congresswoman Robin Kelly.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I just want to echo what the President Preckwinkle said about the need for infrastructure in our country. We do have crumbling infrastructure in a lot of our older towns, and there's been a disparity of investment over a long period of time in our country. And as you see today, a water main break impacts every phase of your life. Not only your sanitation, but your schooling, your infrastructure, your ability to cook and eat. This is a serious effort that Congress is working on right now. We hope that does pass. It's impacting Dixmoor today, but it could be any other community tomorrow. There's a lot of need out there. Also, on the good news side is Congress did pass the Rescue Act earlier this year, and those funds are available right now. I think there's $300,000 that's been approved for Dixmoor, which they can use for water and sewer improvements. So hopefully that money will be used, to fix the pumps and replace the water main. But we need to continue to invest in our country. And like I said, it's Dixmoor today, but it could be any other town tomorrow. Thank you very much.
All right. Questions?
President, where are Harvey officials if they have just as much stake in this as Dixmoor? They deserve to be questioned as well. Why aren't we hearing from them when they provide water to these citizens and it's in their jurisdiction? What are your talks with them like? Are they being combative? Why aren't we hearing from them?
Well, first of all, I know that the good folks of Harvey are doing the best they can to address the problems that they've encountered, and actually, my staff was on the phone with them just a few minutes ago, trying to see what kind of additional support they needed to determine where they've got the valve issue. Apparently, it's a valve problem, and I know that John Yonan, head of our Bureau of Asset Management, and Bilkis Jacobs L. Have spoken with them about how we can be of assistance to them. So we're not here to disparage Harvey. We're here to try to help Dixmoor and Harvey.
Well, were they invited here is what I'm asking, because
We came to Dixmoor because that's where the problem is, and we're trying to work with Mayor Roberts and his team to help them. They've got a burned out turbine that we need to assist them in repairing, and we also need to work with Harvey, and we're going to do both. Actually, I didn't speak to them. John Yonan, you want to say a few words?
Sure, John Yonan, the Bureau Chief of Asset Management, and we spoke to their village manager, and we're going to be heading over there right after this meeting to just walk through. They need some technical kind of expertise to diagnose what they said is a clogged in one of their feeder mains. And again, it's just a little bit of unknown at this time, but we're going to be heading over there right after this meeting, and we'll have a little more information.
So is that the diagnosed issue? Because I know that as of yesterday, they were still trying to track exactly what it was, where it was.
Yeah, so my background is I'm a licensed professional engineer, so I will tell you that the challenge that you have with water mains is that water mains are under pressure all the time. That's how water travels, goes the locations that it needs to. Anytime there's a break or a depressurizing of that actual cast iron, the metal system that's actually having the water go from point A to point B, you compromise the material. So you would think that by depressurizing it and going and fixing a problem, you could just automatically turn the water back on, but that sudden instant pressure on that material sometimes causes the fatigue, and you may have breaks in places that you never thought you ever had problems in the past. So those are the issues that we keep popping up. Those are the discussions that we're going to be having with the village. I don't have the answer to that question. We do have a few different options with bypass systems that could make it a short-term fix, but I don't know an overall timeline at this time. Well, we're going to, again, in meeting with the village officials in Harvey, have a game plan that will obviously be briefing the mayor, and there'll be more information coming from Dixmoor. It is Y-O-N as in Nancy, A-N, Yonan.
I don't know if any of you, I know the mayor has, but
Thank you, John, good work.
have any of you been door to door to talk to some of these residents? Because as you, I'm sure are aware, this isn't the first time it's happened. It's happened about, they tell us, 5 or so times over the past couple of months. It's happened since 2019. When we talk about federal resources coming, we understand that. But for people who are seeing this happen right now, and a pattern of it, and then you have people in Dixmoor blaming Harvey, what is being done to hold whoever is responsible accountable, to make sure there is a Band-Aid or permanent fix here so residents have confidence they can turn on their water? What's being done?
Okay, I'm going to come after you, young man. This isn't about assessing blame. It's about trying to fix a problem that's a result of the fact that we have real infrastructure needs, not just here in Cook County, but across the country. And what's underground sometimes doesn't get the same attention as what's above ground. And until you have a problem, until there's a water stoppage, or until there's, you have difficulty in securing what everybody takes for granted. They turn on their faucet and expect the water to come out. Until you have difficulty, you don't sometimes realize the depth of the maintenance challenges that you have. And in a community like Dixmoor, which is challenged for resources across the board in every arena, trying to keep up with your underground infrastructure needs is a real challenge. And we in this country have to invest in our infrastructure, and we have to give local units of government, like Dixmoor, the resources to do that. And that's one of the reasons, as I said in my opening remarks, that we really need an infrastructure bill out of Congress. And there are two that are presently working their way through. One is just outright infrastructure, and the other is Build Back Better, and the Build Back Better also includes some resources for infrastructure. So I'm hopeful that we'll see, as the representative of the congressman said, Rick Bryant, Congresswoman said, hopefully we'll see some action soon in Washington so that local units of government have the resources to address these problems. And the smaller the community, the smaller the unit of government, the harder it is to have the resources to keep up with these infrastructure challenges. And Dixmoor is a small community.
If I may ask you about that disparity, because it's not just Dixmoor, right? I mean, it is Harvey, it is Fulton, it is so many of these communities in the south suburbs. And many times just getting access to those funds, even if they do become available federally, is the challenge for them because they're not taken into account the way other communities would. So what do we do to address what is probably a full-scale rebuild that needs to be done of the infrastructure in this part of Cook County, not just for Dixmoor, but the surrounding communities? And
Okay, so
ensuring that those resources actually do get there.
Okay, so full disclosure, as you've heard me say before, I'm a history teacher, and we didn't get to this point overnight, right? At the beginning of my third term, my chief of staff, Lynetta Haynes Turner, said, we got to think about how we're going to approach the challenges of your third term, and got together with my staff, my senior staff, and then engaged people more broadly. We engaged the community and our organizations, advocacy organizations that we work with. And we came up with a policy roadmap, and that was in October of 2018. And the policy roadmap said you need to focus on racial equity. You need to look at the inequities in our county, and they're overwhelmingly race-based, and try to figure out how you're going to address them. So we have been investing our infrastructure dollars disproportionately in the Southland. We've been investing our affordable housing dollars disproportionately in the Southland because we know that's the part of the county that has the greatest need. And if we're going to try to address inequity, and particularly racial inequity, we have to concentrate our resources in the communities that are most challenged. And these are, you know, as you've said, it's not just Dixmoor, it's Harvey, it's Robbins, it's Phoenix, Riverdale, and we could go on. And actually, these are the same communities that are most challenged in terms of public health. And we've got a hyper-local strategy for trying to get more people vaccinated in these communities because that's where we have the lowest vaccination rates. So this is a part of a larger problem, as you suggested, which is that communities of color in this country historically don't have the same resources available to them and are disinvested in ways that prove very challenging for local leaders as well as residents. Mayor, do you want to say a few words?
Okay, received a phone call from Napoleon Harris, Father Showering. They'll be able to go over to Thornton High School after 4 p.m. today. Well, he's going to work out something with me where we probably can get a van to take them over. Also, the ones who can't come out and pick up water, we will have some of our public work trucks going out to certain areas like we did on Saturday. The ones who couldn't get out, we actually took water to them.
Okay. Is there able to pay for that water as part of their rent? Will they get reimbursed in some kind of way?
I couldn't speak on that right now.
You know, if people are behind in their rent, we're just like,
Behind in their rent, they've been paying for water as part of their rent, and haven't got it.
right, I got your question. I'm going to give you my answer. We have an emergency rental assistance program, and we provide help to people who not only have trouble with their rent, but their utilities, including water. So if people have difficulty, and that program is open until the 29th of October. So if there are any renters in Dixmoor who have had trouble meeting their rental obligations or they're paying their water bills, they can go to that program and get help for 18 months. So it's all together. So it could be prospective as well as retrospective. So that help is available to them. Specifically, whether we can get support to people who pay for their water bills through their rent, who are caught up in their rent and don't have those other challenges, I can't speak to that.
President Preckwinkle, the state has been noticeably quiet on this, the governor's office. Have you been in contact with the governor's office? Have you come to any agreement, or are you talking about this?
No. I've been talking to local elected officials, to our own commissioner, Commissioner Sims, to Senator Harris, and to the representative of Congresswoman Kelly's office.
You did mention that there was some federal funding that had already been approved for Dixmoor from the Rescue Act.
American Rescue Plan Act, yeah.
But let's say for the expenses that the village is having to go through right now, I know that the village president had told me a couple of days ago that just to fix the turbines, it was an initial charge of $20,000, which for a village like Dixmoor is a lot of money. So where are they going to get that money right now to deal with the immediate expenses?
Counselor, do you want to speak to that?
Thank you. We are going to. Oh, thank you, Madam President. James Vaselli. I am the village attorney for the village of Dixmoor, Illinois. We are searching and we are seeking all federal and state, and if available, local relief to help us pay for these infrastructure costs and the emergency response costs. The county has been great and helpful, but we do have costs on our end. So we're going to go through every available option and have asked every available elected official to assist us in this venture. Thank you.
Right now, the money doesn't exist, right?
Right now, we do have some funds. We will apply to it, but we do not have a bill for this at this point in time. So I can't answer that question because I don't know what the total tally will be.
Thank you.
But is there?
Thank you.
You say
Thank
that,
you.
but is there some way that you can diagnose if there is a possible problem here with Harvey and Dixmoor? If that is the case, if it isn't the case, that's something you're looking into just because of the pattern we've seen.
No, look, we have really, I'll give you an example from my community. I was an alderman in the city of Chicago for 20 years. We started rebuilding public housing. And we ended up spending millions of dollars underground before we could build anything above ground because we had 100-year-old sewers and water mains. 100-year-old sewers and water mains in the middle of the city of Chicago, okay? All right, so we made tremendous investments in infrastructure before we could do anything else. And in many parts of our county, we have 100-year-old infrastructure, and we're not moving forward with redevelopment that causes us to go into the ground and look at the condition. And so we struggle when, you know, there are, what do you call them? Yeah, well, when the system breaks down, okay? There's some fancy word for it, which I've forgotten. But anyway, when the system breaks down, okay? And so then we have to try to meet those challenges. Clearly, we need to invest in restoring our underground infrastructure in lots of places in Cook County. But it's most fragile in the places where communities have not had the resources to do the kind of ongoing maintenance they do to keep an old system kind of operating.
Why hasn't Harvey made a comment? Because one of the things that people in Dixmoor are most angry about is not exactly the water, because it happens all the time, but it's the lack of communication that they say there is between Harvey and the Dixmoor. So I'm wondering, I feel like that kind of adds weight to Harvey not giving a comment.
Well, first of all, you know, I didn't ask anybody from Harvey to come here. We came to visit the people in Dixmoor and to talk with our local elected official about the challenges that he faces and try to figure out how we can be as helpful to him as possible. Okay, so that's the first thing. I didn't ask Harvey to come. And the second thing is, again, we're going to try to work with Harvey to help them find where their challenges are in their water main so that we can help Dixmoor get their water. That's what we're going to do.